I like my women like I like my ghosts. I like my women like I don't really like ghosts. That's why I'm like it's like I don't even want that energy. By the way, you know what? I don't know if have you ever startled someone that didn't know you were there? Like they walk into a room. I was somewhere, I forget where I was at recently, and this lady, she walked into the room and she's like, oh, I didn't even see you there. Oh. And I realized, I know I look a little creepy, because I'm very pale. I could look like a ghost. And I realized, I think that's what ghosts are. I think they're just trying to be courteous. Like they know you're coming down, and that's why they're like, ooh. Ooh. Sometimes they'll jingle keys, like, I'm here. I got to think of one for ghosts. I don't know. Nothing came to me right now. I got scared. All right. Like if it was Halloween, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be thinking about that. But right now I was thinking about wait, about what? Oh yeah, okay, let's try it. I like my ooh, I like it. Oh, ooh, I like this. He said dead. All right, let's try it. That's kind of creepy though, but I like my women like I like my ghosts. Dead. No, it's better. I like my women like, say ghost again, not yet. I like my women like I like my ghosts. Moaning.
Oh yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Time to get that party started all up in your ear holes. Here we go. When you had a bad day and you want those bad vibes to go away.
When every day life gets harder, Darren,
Carter,
you need the party starter.
It's the Pocket Party Podcast.
With the run,
Pocket Party Podcast.
in your ear holes.
Pocket Party Podcast.
It's in your ear holes.
Pocket Party Podcast. Or if your day needed a booster, then you need to talk to Red Rooster. Mr. Carter about to take you to school. Here we go. Don't hurt nobody and don't hurt yourself.
And we're back. How are you guys doing today? It's raining in Los Angeles, and I'm calling my buddy Mike Black for the Pocket Party Podcast.
Hello.
Hello, Mike Black, loud and clear, my man.
Yeah, take that,
Take
America.
that, America. I know we're finally getting the rain in LA, and I mean we've had so much rain. I think that people are now praying for a drought.
Pocket Party.
Yeah, we've had so much rain that the Nestle bottling company is going to let us keep some of it.
Are you rain prepared? Are you like? Do you have?
I'm waterproof. If that's what you mean.
Waterproof. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually I'm prepared now. I didn't used to be
I'm very tightly sealed.
I never used to buy new windshield wipers. I would just like whatever, and then about the fifth time it rained, back I'd be like, oh, I should probably get new wipers, and then I'd still put it off for a couple more, and then I'd finally get them, and then it would, I'd use them twice, and then it would crack in the hot summers, and then I have to get new ones again every year.
Yeah, these are the same exact problems that I have with my wipers. My thing is I wear them out very easily because when there's even a hint of rain on my windshield, I turn them on, and then it'll be dry, and they'll just kind of scrape along,
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
And then I'll forget that I have them on. I'll be doing other shit like driving, and then it'll take too long for me to notice that they've been scudding along the.
Here's a hot tip I learned when I taught traffic school, and you guys can Google it if you don't believe me. You can slice a potato in half and rub the cut end directly on the glass or windshield. It says the sugars from the potato keep water and ice from adhering, and there's science to back it up.
So you want people to rub potatoes all over
the windshield. I mean, they have you can just go to the auto parts store and get some kind of rain, deterrent.
Yeah, a rainproofing thing for probably less than a potato costs.
I know. Yeah.
And you haven't just fucked up a potato.
I know. I'm doing all these old like home remedies, from the South or whatever.
Right. How much does it, in Los Angeles specifically, how much does it hurt the homeless feelings when you're out there, like, literally rubbing food on your car?
Hey guys, how you doing, Mac?
Yeah, and they also said I think you could rub potatoes on your warts to take the. I mean, there's all kinds of like.
There's a multitude of applications for the potatoes.
Ridiculous applications for rubbing potatoes on things.
I'm just picturing the potato famine, like sadly, like, they're like they all had warts and stuff. What's wrong? Hey, Billy, why you got all the warts? I couldn't find any potatoes to rub on me chin.
Well, the Irish have very clean complexions, very clean skin.
Yeah, but I'm rain ready, dude. I got the. I actually went to Walmart and got the rubber boots, so I'm ready, man. I got the $34 rubber
Michael
boots.
O'Shaughnessy, did you just eat that potato without rubbing it all over yourself first?
And your father's windshield. You're so selfish.
I'll box your ears. He's a good lad, but he doesn't know how to use a potato.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, that reminds me of a joke. Okay, and even if you've heard it, I need you to fake laugh for the podcast listeners.
You got it.
All right. There's a guy walking down the beach, and he's like, "Man, I can never get ladies. What do I do?" And his friend says, "Here's what you do, pal. You take a potato, and you take that potato, and you put it down your Speedo bikini wear, down your pants." So the guy's like, "All right, I'll try it." Comes back the next day, and he goes, "Dude, it didn't work." And he goes, "Why didn't it work? Show me what you did." And he shows him what he did, and he goes, "Hey, pal, next time put the potato in the front of your pants."
That reminds me of a Buddy Hackett joke.
Oh, does it?
That is fantastic, I think, but it may not be for everyone. But this guy gets in a car wreck on his way to see his girlfriend, and the wreck happens in such a way that he gets tossed from the vehicle and lands on a tree, and the tree rips his private parts off.
Yikes.
It's horrible. So the doctor's like, I'm so sorry, young man, but we have a new technology, a new transplant that we can do. A elephant just passed away, and while we can't replace your genitals with his, we can put his trunk down there. It's like, you want to put an elephant trunk down there? It's like, it'll work pretty much the same as your old one did, but you'll have actually more control over it. And he goes, well, let's give it a shot. It's better than nothing, I guess. And so he tells his girlfriend about it, and it turns out that she doesn't like it. She loves it. She thinks it's the greatest thing ever. So they're having a wonderful life, and she's just glowing and couldn't be happier. Now they get real serious, and she's like, I think the time's come for you to meet my parents. So they have a nice dinner at the parents' place. And they're all so happy that she's found someone that she loves, and he's happy, and they're having a great time. And the second course comes out, and it's a baked potato. And just as the parents are like, well, how did you meet our daughter? The trunk comes out, snatches the potato, and then goes back under the table. And the mother goes, is there any chance you could do that again? And the guy goes, I'd love to, but I don't think there's room in my ass for another potato.
Oh, that's good.
I have to edit that out of the podcast. I don't know, but
no, we'll leave it in. As long as we're not. I think the new rules on YouTube is you can't curse in the first 8 seconds or something. I don't know.
So we're okay.
So we're okay
with the potato.
Yeah.
2 minutes in.
I know. There's these two ladies, and they're at Vaughn's grocery store, and they're in the produce section. And she goes, "Oh, these potatoes, they remind me of me husband's testicles." And she goes, "Really? That big?" "No, dirty."
Did you just make that one up?
No. I heard someone say that before. That was another one of those potatoes. It's weird. If you told me an hour ago, or even 1 minute before the phone call, do you have any potato jokes? I'd be like, no. And then, and then it just kind of, yeah, there you go. I gotta,
Turns out I do.
Turns out I do. Yeah, like every now and then when I go, I like my women like I like my, and they yell out potato. I sometimes say baked, but not available till after 4 p.m. Which I don't know why that's. I guess I don't know, why do they always wait till after 4 p.m. to bake these, or you know what I mean?
Could you also say fully loaded?
Fully loaded. Yeah, what does that mean, fully loaded? Because sometimes when I say, someone says nachos, and then people have yelled out fully loaded, which I get. Fully loaded, what does that mean? Like the girl's like curvy and stuff, or does it mean she's like?
Well, it's kind of graphic.
Oh, I got you. Oh yeah. I got. Oh. Okay, that's
right. Yeah,
that's hilarious. I'm like, sometimes because
it does not mean full of cheese and bacon bits. If that's what.
Yeah, because I get it. Like when it comes to laundry, taking those loads, or like if they say truck, I would be like, taking a load, but I didn't know it. Okay, gotcha. Oh my God, I have a podcast so I can learn what the hell's going on in the world.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I came up with the name Pocket Party, thinking people pull their device out of their phone. Boom! It's a party in their pocket. It's Darren Carter, the party starter. Darren Carter and friends. Like it's a party in your pocket. Pocket Party. And I had I put the first episode up. I got the thing going. I got the logo, and then I went to the Comedy Store where I was around other adults.
Right, grown-ups,
and I remember George Perez. He was the first one. He goes, "Pocket Party, bro. That sounds like something we would do in jail." The guard walks by. We're like, "Oh yeah, like she's hot. I'm having a pocket party." And he sticks his hand in his pocket and starts like motioning.
Yeah, I thought that's where it came from. I thought that's what it meant.
No, not at all.
The old "I'm having a party in my pants."
Yeah, no, it was just, I was thinking like Darren Carter, party starter. What can I do? What's an offshoot of party? And then,
yeah, I really thought that's what you were going for. I was like, that's kind of a dirty name for such a clean comic.
Yeah, and by the way, your voice got very muffled right now. Whatever you did, don't do that again.
Okay, how is that?
Oh, it's super clear right there. Whatever that is, that's clear.
Wow. Okay.
I was also going to call it the friends in your pocket. The friends in your yeah.
That's your hands.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I was thinking, but then I was like, man, I'd have to rely on booking multiple guests. You know what I mean? Hey, it's the friends in your pocket.
Right.
Like it's like a morning crew, zoo crew, like 5 guests every episode. I'm like, nah. But then
yeah, Tito and the whale.
Exactly.
Always something like that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, oh man, back when I was growing up, there was this guy whose name was like Clarence and the Morning Gorilla, and then he would do both voices back and forth. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Clarence, the Morning Gorilla, and we got the gorilla in the house. We sure do. Oh, how you doing, Clarence? I'm doing great. How are you? I'm doing fantastic. Isn't it a great day? It's bananas. Like
Wait,
that.
Darren, were you Clarence and the gorilla?
No, I wasn't. But did I do that pretty good right now? I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just bragging about an old show that you used to do.
Hey, there used to be this guy who had red hair, and
he was a genius. He would hold conversations with himself.
Did you ever want to do a morning show on the radio or any kind of radio?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I didn't think I had the technical wherewithal to do it. Of like, if you want to play music and stuff like that. Back then, it was like everything was on tracks, like 8 tracks and stuff like that, or cassettes.
Oh yeah, I worked in radio. Yeah, they were like these carts, and you have like the cart rack.
Right, and I was like, I think that's beyond my reach to try and be funny and do all that stuff. I didn't realize you could just have a guy who did all that stuff.
Oh yeah, like once you get to the bigger markets like LA, they actually have these producers that get union money. Like they get paid really well, I heard, and that's like a big deal. Yeah, when I was doing it, this is like the end of the 80s, like up until I think 90, I did it right out of high school. And they had these carts. And I remember like they had like this system where like, let's say 3 times an hour. Like they had this clock, and they'd say it. You'd play a commercial at 10 after, and then 25 after, and then 35 after, and then don't forget to do the call letters. KBOS, Fresno and Tulare, whatever, B95, whatever, at the top of the hour. But then you also had to play like, I forget exactly the numbers, but like 3 hit songs every hour. And then you had your A songs, then you had like 5 songs that were the B songs, then you threw in the C songs, and you had to, they had them all organized, like blue tagged, red tagged, green tagged, and then I would get in trouble.
Yeah, all of that sounded like too much. What I wanted to do was just play whatever music I wanted to play and talk to people in between. And that show doesn't really exist.
Yeah, not in commercial radio.
It does now. I mean, like that now. That's everyone everywhere, But
I used to purposely play Michael Jackson songs so I could do my Michael Jackson impersonation. And that's what we're gonna do when you get like an 18, 19-year-old kid on the radio. I'd be like.
Yeah.
And I go, coming up next, Michael Jackson, The Girl Is Mine.
Oh, thank you very much, Darren. Yeah, the girl is mine. I think I told you, Paul. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Hee hee.
Whatever, I'd be.
B95, Fresno's Killer Bee.
Michael, she said I was her forever lover.
Oh, Paul, I think I told you, Paul. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Hee hee. I just happened to be driving through Fresno on the 99 freeway on my way to Stockton. I have a timeshare. Hee hee.
Stupid.
I know.
So stupid.
And I remember, I'll never forget the program director just busting open the door, arms folded, had a curly mullet. That was the style back then. And he was like,
It was definitely the style for supervisors back then.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, and he was wearing a visor. It was a supervisor. It was a
supervisor wearing a supervisor. I said, Don, put that potato in the front of your pants.
But he came in, Don, and I'll never forget him, Don. He walked in and he goes, boom, Darren, this is a music station, not a comedy station. And I was like, oh boy, okay, all right, loud and clear. I heard your message.
And that's when you put a whoopee cushion on his table.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, it sucked, man, because...
That's just such an invitation for everyone to prank you. If you tell your employees, this is not a comedy place, or this is a radio. Now they're going to fill your entire closet with potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're all potato-based pranks from you too.
That's how they catch me. Yeah. Quick question: do you like steak fries or crinkly cut fries or shoestring fries?
Ooh, that's almost Sophie's choice for me. My absolute favorite are crinkly cut fries when they're extra crispy and they just came out. They just left the fryer. I will scorch my mouth apart trying to eat them because they're so good.
Oh, I like those. I like those a lot. Although I just remember. Okay, no, this is similar. Crinkly cut fries or waffle fries.
If they're seasoned waffle fries, then those win. But if they're regular waffle fries, I'd rather have crinkly cut fries.
And how about
steak fries are way high up there too. Like remember we went to Cantor's and got those?
Oh yeah.
They do them really good there. If I'm real into extra crispy. Honestly, extra crispy is just normal. It's like the baseline of how they should be and how they used to do them everywhere, but now everywhere does them like real floppy and yellow and gross, and it's like that's bullshit. That's not fries.
Yeah, and I think the fries, and there's probably a reason someone probably knows the fries when I was a kid, probably when you were a kid at McDonald's, was way better than it is now.
Yeah, they use a different oil, and some bean counter figured out that it's like, it'll be a little bit healthier if we don't fry them as long. And so that's why they're all floppy and gross now. But in the old days, they would, like McDonald's fries used to be crazy hot. And I think they were worried about getting sued after that coffee guy, too. And they were crazy hot, really salty, and really, really crunchy, but soft on the inside.
Oh, I love that when it's crispy and then
which
soft.
Is perfect. It's a damn near perfect food.
Yeah, and
it's all the best sensations of eating.
Same thing with
French fries.
Oh my God! And same thing with Cracker Barrel. The reason I love the Cracker Barrel pancakes, it's crispy on the edges and soft in the middle. It's very delicious.
Yeah, and no one else knows how to do that.
I know.
It's kind of like Waffle House, the way they do hash browns, where they're a little bit crispy, but they're like total. They threw health out the window. They're just like, these are pretty much half butter.
Mm.
And they're a little bit crispy, but really soft in the middle. And so people would drive from miles around to come there because they're not pretending to be what they're not. They're not trying to be like, oh, Waffle House is full of healthy stuff. Come get all sorts of healthy food. No, they know what they have, and they do it right, and they do it really well,
Okay, if you guys are on the edge of your seats and you're wondering why the fries were better back in the day, I found it. McDonald's founder Ray Kroc agreed that beef fat blend dominated until the 1980s, when fast food companies were finally forced to switch to pure vegetable oil out of concern that the saturated fat in beef tallow raises cholesterol. So, yeah, it was.
Yeah, you mean McDonald's isn't good for me? What?
I know.
How can this be? Leave things alone that you don't like. That's really what has ruined more shit than anything is tourist complaints.
Yeah.
Like some health nut went to McDonald's once and had the fries and was like, oh, I don't really like how these are gross. These are bad for me. And they wrote a bunch of letters and wrote their congressman and whatever, and now everyone else's fries are ruined.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of famed author and journalist Malcolm Gladwell? He wrote that book like The Outliers and things like that. Anyways,
no.
Apparently,
tell me about it.
He wrote a book, and one of the things he wrote in one of these books is about French fries, and he kind of described what you described, like crispy and soft, and he kind of talks like this. Here's what he wrote. He wrote, "Have you ever seen a puppy encounter snow before? It was like that for me. A slice of potato, crispy on the outside, yet somehow pillowy, soft on the inside. Right then and there, I gave my heart to McDonald's."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great for the people that are into it, but the people that aren't into it and are never going to eat there anyway are the ones that ruined it.
Oh, wow. He actually says this at the end. He goes, "If they had any balls at all, they would turn around and say, 'We were wrong, and we're going back to fries the old way.' Your move, McDonald's."
Or at least let that still be an option.
Yeah. I know, they should. They should have like, ooh, dude, that would be good. Like if they had a whole campaign like 80s fries or 1970s fries or something like that. Like a throwback Thursday.
Yeah. French fries for people that know they're at McDonald's.
Right.
That aren't idiots that think they're at some sort of health club,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Gosh. Okay, now listen.
But that should be pretty much everything should run on the idea of, okay, what about the people that actually come and spend money here? Right. Are they going to like it? No? Well, then let's not do that. Or let's at least leave that thing alone. That's how New Coke happened. People were like, oh, I don't know, Coke is the number one selling product of maybe all time.
Right, yeah.
But I bet we could get a few more people if we messed with the recipe, and they did, and now that recipe is lost, or they screwed it up somehow. But the Coke we have now is not the original Coke. They did New Coke, and then they got pretty close to the original recipe.
Oh, that was a big deal too, right? Remember the Cola Wars and all that? Like,
yeah.
Everyone's messing with
And you know who tricked us into drinking New Coke?
Who?
Bill Cosby.
Oh, damn. I never thought of it like that.
He's been tricking people into drinking the wrong shit for a long time.
That's true.
He was the number one advocate for it. I remember him saying, "You're going to try New Coke and you're going to like it." No, I'm not, Bill.
No, I'm not, Bill.
The same exact lines he was using at home.
That's really funny.
But yeah, so now we have kind of classic Coke. which is just a shade better than Pepsi now. And it used to be like a clear cut. There was not even a contest where it was like Coke is just much, much better than anything else that was on the market.
Do you like Pepsi, or are you mostly like Coke, or do you?
I'm mostly like Coke. I will endure a Pepsi, but I like Coke. Like, it's hard for me not to take it personally when they go, "Oh, we have Pepsi." It's like, don't scowl at the waiter.
Right.
It's not his fault. It's the company's fault that they. It's like, why are you in the food service business if you're using Pepsi? It's the first sign to me that you don't care about what you're doing.
Right.
It's like, I know for a fact you're going to have shitty fries if you're serving Pepsi. Like, it's a foregone conclusion at that point.
I wonder if it's like they get it cheaper or something. I wonder if it becomes like a price thing.
It's obviously they get it cheaper. But that means all of those decisions are based on that. They're not based on quality. They're based on saving themselves money. They got into the business for the wrong reason. Like In-N-Out, if you just judged everything else at In-N-Out, you would know in your heart, in your bones, you would know, oh, these people are going to use Coke.
Right.
Because everything they do is about service and quality and freshness and doing it right, doing junk food the right way. And so you could put a blindfold on me and I would tell you, after experiencing everything else there, I'd be like, okay, these guys definitely use Coke because they give a shit. That should be Coke's campaign.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, because you give a shit.
So, if as a comedian, you're a Coca-Cola comedian. You're not a Pepsi comedian. That would be a...
Absolutely. I don't think...
Yeah.
If you're a Pepsi comedian, you're not very funny. It's just, that's just the truth,
Dude, with we're not going to name any names or anything like that. Not that it matters, because sometimes they might listen to this podcast. Actually, you know what? Let me put this. Here's what I want to say.
Right. If you're a comedian who's into Pepsi, who's like really into Pepsi, go join a community theater improv group.
Yeah.
And leave everyone else alone.
I was gonna say, like, I'm we're not being braggadocious. What we're saying is we're two comedians that do comedy in, like, if you're going to be a comedian in the world, you're going to either end up in New York or LA, I would imagine. I know you can still do it.
If you take your career seriously, you're going to end up in one of those, at least for a portion of it.
Yeah.
While you're building your name or whatever.
Right. Like, there's comedians that, like, I was following Nate Bargatze, and he lived in New York for 8 years, and now he's, in Nashville, but he's selling out like all these theaters and specials and doing big shows. And I was in Vegas at the airport. I saw a poster, and it was, Caesar's Palace or something. And it was like, 3 sold out shows, 2 added. And it's, so like I said, he did live in the big city, but then he is able to live wherever he wants and, fly private or whatever these guys do nowadays. But
right.
If somebody's on the entry level and they're trying to make it in the world, so what I'm trying to say is not saying we're experts, but we have learned a lot and what we've done and some advice, because sometimes lately, I've just noticed more comedians coming to LA, or we doing shows with them. And one bit of advice that I overheard you saying to somebody at the Comedy Store recently is kind of get to know the lineups and like who's on the lineups and a little bit about who they are, and as opposed to coming in like, why are they up there, not me? I can compete with them. They're not funny. I'm fun. And that's a bad attitude to have. The wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to like everybody or think everyone's great, but keep any of your negative opinions kind of to yourself until you know the lay of the land, at least,
Yes.
And until you've successfully done something yourself, because until then, everyone's just going to look at you like, oh, this is why you're an amateur. It's because you're talking shit about everyone and you haven't actually done anything yet,
Yeah, I had a friend years ago. He said that his girlfriend at the time, she goes, a lot of these comedians are bitter biscuits. That's what she kept saying, bitter biscuits. And for whatever reason, they were playing me a compliment. They were like, she likes you because you're not a bitter biscuit. And I was like, well, that's good, and I want to maintain that because, you don't want to become a bitter biscuit.
Don't become a bitter biscuit in comedy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I remember when I started out doing comedy, it's the natural instinct, I guess, is to like put others down. And so way back in the day, like in my Fresno days, the first year starting out, even maybe a little in the Bay Area, I'd sit in the back of the room with the other up and coming like comedians, and we would put down the other comedians. We'd be like, "This guy sucks," or "What the fuck," or "He called that a joke," or whatever.
Sure,
that was like the first year, 2 years, whatever. And then I learned like, oh, I don't want to do that, and I don't think that's positive. I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it's cool. And so luckily, I broke all those habits by the time I got to around, by the time I hit the San Diego market or the LA, I don't have those habits. I don't do that. I don't think like that, and I just, hey man, more power to anybody, and they'll figure it out themselves, hopefully. And also,
and it's like it's great to have self-confidence.
Yeah.
And to think like, if I were up on that stage, everyone would love me, and this guy doesn't know how to do what he's doing or whatever.
Yeah.
It's great to have that sort of confidence, but really keep all the negative stuff to yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I find I would see someone at 1 a.m. in front of 6 people, and I would form my opinion of them as, they're not that funny. And then it's like, you haven't seen them in front of an actual crowd, right?
Yeah.
A real paying crowd, at 8 p.m. or something like that. And that same person, if they've been doing rooms like that all the time, they've basically been living on planet Krypton. So when you put them in a real room with a real audience that pays to hear jokes, they'll just tear that room apart. They'll be the funniest thing that happened in that room, and so it's very easy to get the wrong perception of comics if you just go off what you've seen. I think it's good to at least be kind of familiar with, when you're on a lineup in LA, if you don't know every comic on there, it's not a bad idea to Google them and just see this guy, he may not be like the world's greatest comic, but he's a writer on a big show, or he's done his TikTok has 50 million views or whatever. It's like he has legitimate reasons to be there. Even if he's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, there was a comic that I thought was pretty good, and then I saw that he opens for Adam Sandler. Mm-hmm. And when I was watching him, I was like, oh, I could see that because he's actually pretty good. This is sort of not the best crowd. It was like a Tuesday. And then I was looking and going, this guy actually has good material. He's very likable. And
he'd be good for his crowd or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but this comes with experience also, right? Like if it was my first 6 months, I'm trying to size myself up against everybody, and you might be like, that guy sucks. Why does he get to open for,
I should be opening for Adam Sandler. Well, you have 3 minutes.
Exactly. And that's another
It's great that you think you're that funny, but there's another 27 minutes you have to fill to open for him.
Yeah, and that's, you got the time when it's going right. What if it's going wrong? What if the show went long and you got to go up and fill time and they're just not into you, and then you're like, your time, remember, it's like when I've gone to like those Mongolian walks where you get to pick all this food and they put it on this giant wok, and I remember like I would have like a big old bowl of spinach, and then as soon as the spinach starts cooking, it shrivels up to like nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how your time can go when the crowd's not laughing, and if you're not prepared, if you're just, you start sweating.
Yeah, if you're still new at it,
Yeah, you're like, you don't have any tricks in the toolbox.
Speaking of that, did you ever see Funny People?
Oh, I did. Yep.
It was a really excellent movie about all of this. But when Seth Rogen wrote him all those jokes and then ran out of material and did all the jokes that he wrote for it.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So you just did my whole act. He was like, I was dying.
Yeah. What do you expect me to do, Osstein? Yeah. Yeah. That's great, man.
But yeah, I've never done that, but I have I think maybe the worst thing I ever did, and the guy was such a sweetheart about it, was I used to wear a shirt that had my name and my face on it. And I was doing in one of the improvs, I was hosting for Chris Hardwick.
Oh, nice.
And as it got time to introduce him, I'm giving him this glowing intro because I really think he's great. And this was really big at the time, and I was very excited to do it.
Mike, you got a little muffled right there. Whatever you did, don't do that again, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I give him this glowing intro, and then I completely blank on his name.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh no! And so I try to cover it, and I go to the sound guy. I go, this guy's so big that I'm going to have the sound guy tell you his name. And the sound guy was like, what?
Yeah, the sound guy's not prepared for that.
Chris Hardwick. And I was like, yeah, Chris Hardwick, give him a round of applause. And he came up on stage and just kind of looked at me like, I know what happened, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but he was real sweet about it. And then I got on stage and he goes, I'm pretty sure Mike forgot my name, and it's understandable. Clearly, he had to label himself so that he would remember his own name.
That's funny. Yeah.
So he really rolled with it well, and didn't mention it, didn't make me feel bad about it or anything. But and of course, every show after that, I was just like, his name was just lasered into my head.
Chris Hardwick. I know. Yeah, sometimes I would forget the people's last name. Like I would know, like I'll tell you who I would have a hard time introducing until I really study his name. From the Comedy Store, Sandro. His last name is
Sandro Yocolano. I would just get it wrong on purpose.
Oh no!
And I thought it was funny as hell, and he really didn't. I'd be like, Sandro Chocolato, or Sandro Gelato, or whatever. I would just make up some sort of thing. And then like I started to do where I would give him a fake name and then say his real name. But he didn't like that. It's got to be rough when you have a name like that.
Oh, and people,
be in show business. And what sucks is he's one of the funniest guys at the Comedy Store, as far as I'm concerned.
He's very funny.
He's really, really funny. He's a brilliant writer.
Sandro Yocolano, I think his last name is.
Sandro Yocolano, yeah.
Loco,
I don't think it's Loco. Isn't it Yocolano?
I don't know. I'm looking at it, but unless they
I think it's I-O.
They probably misspelled it because I'm looking on YouTube some video from 11 years old. They spelled Locolano. I'm like, I can remember that, but no, you're right.
I think it's I-O-C-O.
Oh, you're right. Gosh, they've even misspelled him on the internet.
So the way I pronounce it phonetically is Yoko, like Yoko Ono. But
it's I-O. Yeah.
It's an Italian name.
Sandro Iocolano.
Yeah. So you would say it like Ioko.
Sandro Iocolano. Like that? Does that make sense? Sandro?
Yeah.
That's close enough. Sandro.
Maybe we should ask him next time we run into him, because I think I'm right, but
Sandro Yocolano.
He could just be being polite.
Yeah, like that's close enough for now. It's like when some people, they think they're being fancy with me, and they call me, hey, it's Darren Cartier or something like that, because there's like a Cartier.
Yeah, those are people that drink Pepsi for sure.
Yes. Shout out to Johnny Sanchez. Johnny, we love you, John. You're hilarious. You're a Coca-Cola guy, but but that was a Pepsi joke. Yeah.
No, Johnny Sanchez is awesome. He's one of the best. But
he loves to call
business.
me Cartier, Darren Cartier, and I'm like, oh gosh.
I think it was Johnny Sanchez that had the best merch idea, really, of all time, because he was very good about at a live show. he would get a lot of the audience's names and work them into his act, right?
Yeah.
And what he would do is, as soon as the show was over, he'd be like, he'd kind of recap and go, "Oh, Bobby, I mentioned you by name. Janet, I mentioned you a lot. If you guys really like the comedy and like this show, I can offer you a CD of this show tonight." And he would have his family, I think, would be in the back with CD burners burning a copy of the show that just happened to sell them. And then they could play it, to their friends and stuff and go, see, this is where he was joking about us and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that is brilliant.
Brilliant. I know, right? Like you can get a copy of this show tonight. Because I've had people ask me that. And I'm always like, yeah, I mean, imagine, that you actually did it. He had like this. That was back when everyone was buying DVDs. I remember that they had the DVD burners. Like,
right. I don't see why clubs couldn't do that now. Where they couldn't, now that it's digital.
Oh, yeah.
Why you couldn't record like, not like at a comedy store or whatever, but at like a show where it's a 3-person show. Why the club couldn't offer for the comics, let us record all this and sell it, and then work out who gets what on it, the money angle. But I think that would sell really well if a club did that. You know what?
I also like the other idea you told me about how Andrew Dice Clay would have
Oh yeah, where we were touring together and he ran out of shirts and we had like 5 left, and he said, "Auction them off."
Auction them off.
What? I was like, they're different sizes. He was like, "Yeah, just tell him what size we got and say the rest of the shirts because it is, And his crowd is so like alpha male type dudes that want to impress each other that the bidding went crazy. Like for even shirts that didn't fit the guys, they were like, "Oh wow, $200, $300."
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that would work for every comic, but it definitely worked for him. That guy knows his audience like nobody's business.
And I think Jamar Neighbors, he does art. He does comedy, but then he does like these.
Yeah. Jamar's another. He's a brilliant comic, and but yeah, he'll sell paintings on stage and stuff. And it's like, that's such a cool move. He gave a painting to someone in that was like hanging out at the club in front of me, and I was like, "Did you sign it?" And he was like, "No." Like it didn't even occur to him that the guy would want it signed. And I was like, "You should sign it." And the guy like lit up. He was like, "Thank you." Like for mentioning it. So I signed it for the guy, and the guy was like, "Thank you so much."
You know what? It's funny. I always sign and put the year, like whenever I sign anything. So there's autographs of me, like, Darren Carter, 99, Darren Carter, 2003, whatever. And it's kind of cool. Yeah. Every now and then people are like, "Hey, look what I was going through my garage and look what I found." And they'll send me some signed napkin or headshot or CD or something. It's another cool way to put stuff out there. I pass out those stickers and people have been tagging me on Instagram and sending them in, and it's cool. Like I got one this week that was like, "I walked into the ladies' restroom at a casino and look what I saw," and it was someone had taken the sticker and put it on like the wall up there. It was, it's so cool. The best one, I mean, they're all great. Like I don't care if it's a laptop, guitar case, luggage. I've been on all those. It's pretty cool. But the one that really blew me away, I was like, "Damn, it's so cool." Jeff Dye, a famous comedian, tagged me, and he zoomed in. So it starts out with a close-up of the sticker, which, by the way, is the Pocket Party Podcast logo.
Right, and yeah.
The logo with the QR code, so people can aim their camera, boom, take them right to the show. So it starts out with a close-up on the sticker, and he zooms out, and you realize the sticker is on the back of a chair, and that chair is on a basketball you realize that he has front row floor seats at a Lakers game. Yeah, so it's like sticker Lakers game. It just like happens. It's like whoa,
Oh, that's really
that's
cool.
so cool. Like that was really that made my day.
That's seeing good merchandising.
Yeah, I mean I'm not at the Lakers game, but my sticker is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Jeff, it's really great to fly first class. I mean my sticker at least is up there. No.
Yeah.
You know, my sticker's living the life. You know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what, and I have no shame when it comes to. I know we talked about stuff last night about asking for favors. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell the audience where we went last night. By the way.
Saddleback. Is it called Saddleback Ranch? No, Saddle Ranch.
Saddleback.
Saddle.
It's
Saddle
called
Ranch.
Saddle Ranch.
Saddle Ranch.
Yeah.
Saddle Ranch.
Which is one of the few places in LA that has an electric bowl.
Right.
And, what they used to do, they had these open fires on the patio, and for dessert you could get s'mores. You could do them over an open flame, and but the pandemic, and but you wanted to eat at Carney's, which I like Carney's a lot, but I was just not in the mood for it, and it was closed anyway, and so we went to Saddle Ranch. And we ended up having a really great meal and a really good time.
Oh yeah, that was great. I like to. I was like, well, let's go somewhere close, and I figured Carney's is close. It's cheap. It's like because I'm more there to socialize, and
Yeah.
But you know what? That worked out great because it's you can either sit inside and watch the bull riding, or you can go outside. And it was actually a warm enough night where we could chill on outside. And,
Yeah, and it was kind of quieter outside, but
Yeah.
nice.
I was like jokingly gonna tell you when we were waiting for a table, like, can we ask them to turn it down? But the fact that we went outside, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is
Yeah, so much better.
yeah. It was better, and you could actually hear each other, and you could have a conversation, and nobody was bugging us. It was great, and the waiter was cool. It was like that young kid that's 23, and he was
Yeah, like our friend when we got there panicked. He was like, ask him for he asked the guy like 4 times for a table for 3, and I was like, he knows. We told him once, leave him alone.
yeah.
And it's like, that's a good way to get them to spit in your food. Is to do stuff like that. And it's like, we've been here 5 minutes. It's one of the hottest places on the Sunset Strip. Just chill.
I know.
Get seated eventually.
Yeah, you could tell they were pretty stressed. Like the one waiter left, he said he'd been there since 2, and it's like, and that's why we're like, yeah, it's cool.
I don't know. He didn't care if we ever got seated. If we kept giving him attitude like that.
I missed the Saddle Ranch at the. They used to have one at Universal, and I'd go there with my wife and son, and man, it was great. And they even did comedy there. They did. I don't know. Did you ever do stand up at Saddle Ranch?
I can't imagine doing that in that environment, but. It's hard to compete with an electric bull. I don't care how good your jokes are.
Yeah, the mechanical bull. They there was the bull. I think was in. I don't remember where the bull was, but I know the stage was outside, and so you.
Okay. Well, yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah, it was way better. I remember like Neil Brennan was like when he first came around back to LA, and it was really cool. It was a great place to go up and do comedy, and it gave you an excuse to go to Universal. Like. The comic
Yeah. Oh, wait, maybe I did do comedy out there, the one at Universal. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I think I did. This was back when Marvel Mania was over there.
Probably. You would know that more than I would. Yeah. Marvel. Yeah, see, I don't know.
It was like a theme restaurant for Marvel before any of the Marvel movies happened.
Oh, really? They were ahead of their time.
So it was kind of like Planet Hollywood, but just for Marvel stuff. And it closed. I'm not kidding you. This is so sad. It was a great restaurant. The food was really good. They had really cool decor of all the different Marvel stuff. It closed permanently 2 years before the first Iron Man came out.
Oh, wow. Hey,
and it would have been huge.
Oh, my gosh.
If it had made it to that far,
I got to wrap up in about 4 or 5 minutes, but I want to say one more idea about this. Don't be a bitter biscuit. Is if you're a bitter biscuit, you're going to close your mind to a lot of positive ideas. You're not going to be open to even, because there's comedians that, I'll just put it in comedy terms, that you can learn from, that if you're a bitter biscuit, you're like, you're not going to learn from them. Or even music, for example.
Right.
But if you open your mind and you're like, let me, take in this art form, you'll learn. As if you're an artist, and you'll learn. Why be an artist if you're only into one type of art? You can learn from so many, Babe, we're going to bring it back to potatoes. I just realized a lot of metal guys that play heavy metal, when they're not working, when they're not doing their heavy metal concerts, they get together and they perform jazz at the Baked Potato in Los Angeles. And which is funny, baked potato. But seriously, I just realized it. Another potato reference. But you know what I mean? And the first time I heard that, I was shocked. And then the more I dove into it, I realized, like, I could see that, because these guys are real musicians and they're not just like playing one type of thing. That's why they, and the same thing with comedy. I saw a person last night, and I didn't want to argue with them and even explain. I'm not that type of person, but I saw these two ladies. They were kind of snarky. They were up and coming comedians, I would imagine. And they saw the lineup for the potluck, which is what we are, the paid regulars. And and there's how many comedians were there last night on the paid regular portion?
Probably about 20.
Yeah, there's about 20, right? And they came over and they're like, "Oh, I noticed there's no women comics on this list." And the other one goes, "Yep, duly noted." And then they walked away, and I wanted to kind of explain that, but I was like, nah, just let it go, But because that's not a book spot.
Like,
it's for people that want to do.
The thing is, the club didn't book potluck.
It's for people who want to. I'm going to get mad right now. Who want to get off their ass, go down there on a Monday, deal with parking, and put their name in a hat, and maybe get chosen last. That do want to do the real work. And sometimes there are women on that list, but last night there weren't. Maybe the women that normally would do that are out there working. They're out there doing gigs. I don't know. It wasn't. In other words, you can't judge a book by its cover, on at least for that, or maybe for anything. But
and it's like that night is not booked. It's not scheduled ahead of time, so the booker had nothing to do with it. It's the paid regulars at the club deciding to come in for free. They don't get paid to come in for free and do a set. And it's randomly a lottery chosen. But every comic that shows up gets a spot. So all that means is last night, a bunch of guys showed up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. And what's funny is, I think maybe I'm wrong, but there's times where you think, is this list rigged? I don't think it's rigged, because some of the guys that you would think would be towards the end, like sometimes they're like first and second. You're like, okay,
I mean, I don't think it is either. I think
I used to think that years ago, where I'd be like, how come this guy, whatever, but now
I think that would take a lot of work and cause a lot more headaches than it would solve for the people that work there.
Yep.
Because that, like, some of the comics that maybe aren't the best would be the squeaky wheels on that, and would be like, I'm never getting a spot. And it's like, I just don't think that happens as much as comics would like to believe it happens.
Yeah.
I've gotten cherry spots. Like last night I was 3. That was a fantastic spot.
I know. I loved that.
But I've also gotten the very tail end of a 20 comic line.
Yeah. The only time I've ever felt that way was about 10 years ago, and when I was like towards the end, like 3 weeks in a row. Then I was like, But then I was like first. Like, so I was like, oh, and then I just snapped out of it, because I didn't want to be a bitter biscuit.
Right. And I'd rather be a buttery biscuit. And
I'd want to be a buttery potato.
Can I tell you kind of a funny story? Last week, they go to put the list up, and they see me, and they go, Mike, did you put a ticket in? And I was like, yeah, I did. And they were like, oh, well, I don't know what happened, but I can add you on to the end. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then it turned out that I had put my ticket in the tip bucket instead of
the
bucket to pick.
Oh, you were trying to bribe your way in.
Right. Yeah, with nothing. I don't know how to bribe very well. But yeah, so it was my own fault. But I was like, I'm sure that happened a number of times, and a lot of comics think like, oh, they just didn't pick me because of politics. No, they didn't pick you because you were an idiot and you put it in the wrong bucket.
Yeah. And you got to do 2 shows last night, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to do the Universal Bar and Grill, which is a fun room up in the valley, and they were very nice. But it is different, performing at a bar where people are playing pool not that far away from the stage, and they're kind of focused on that. It's kind of like whenever you do stand up at a bar that normally has sports on as their entertainment.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll schedule it during a game. And it's like, okay, nobody wants this. Yeah, as a comedian, I don't want to be performing and trying to compete with the game. And the people that regularly come here to watch sports don't want me performing. So what are we doing?
Yeah. Here's a hot tip real quick for the comedians out there. If you're ever performing and there's pool, people are playing billiards, take the cue ball and hide it during your set. And then put it back when you're off stage. That way they won't be playing pool.
Yeah, they just need to just shut down the other activities, bars, if you're going to have comedy. If you're going through the trouble of having a comedy night, shut off the TVs and shut off the other activities.
Yeah. In Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up, he says, distraction is the enemy of comedy.
Yeah, it's the enemy of damn near any performing art.
You don't want you don't want some open window behind you with, cops driving by, or you don't want you know what I mean? Like neon signs, TV shows on. You don't want any of that distraction. It's just bad.
Right. Someone's phone going off, any of that stuff, I
know. Mike, it's been great having you on the Pocket Party podcast, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I want to
eat potato.
Yeah. And, well, look at you. You made it all the way through. Thank you, guys. On behalf of on behalf of Mike Black and Darren Carter, thank you for joining us on another episode. If you get a chance, go to iTunes and please give it 5 stars and a review. It'll take less than a minute. It'll take less than the time. But you could put a baked potato in your microwave and you would give the review before the potato was ready. That doesn't make sense.
Much effort.
I don't know if you bake a potato in the microwave, but you know what I mean. It'll take less than 3 minutes. I guarantee it. 5 stars and a review. And I'll read the review on the air, so you'll get a shout out. So there you go. There you go, Mike. All right, buddy. Hey, have a good one. Thank you.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. That was fun. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And if you get a chance, go to YouTube and subscribe. Darren Carter on YouTube. Putting up videos daily. All right, y'all. Have a great one. Bye.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to the Pocket Party.